We are live. Hello. Happy Mommy Monday, y'all.
Yes.
It's good to be back. It's good to be healthy.
Yes.
And here.
Yes.
We're going to wait for some people to come in, but I am so excited to have my sis, Carmen B, here. I am in her space today. She'll talk a little bit about it a little later, but she has a podcast as well and a platform as a coach, a wellness coach, a self-love advocate.
All of that.
All
Healing,
of that.
confidence,
Wellness.
you name it. Everything health, we doing it over here.
Everything
health. So
yes.
This is exciting. And thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited for this.
I'm very excited for this conversation. Welcome to Mommy Mondays, where we talk about everything motherhood, what we go through parenthood. And this is going to be a vulnerable time where we're talking about being worthy of hard things.
Yes.
Being worthy of hard things. And me and Carmen talked a little bit off the record this past week, and she has so many great things to share, a great testimony of just, being a young mom, but also what that propelled her into today, And so we're going to dive into some deep things relationally, some hard struggles, as a parent, as a mother,
as a woman.
There we go,
as a woman, right?
As a woman,
sometimes we forget that, like, before we are anything else,
talk about it
in this world, we are women,
right? For sure,
and that comes with its own challenges.
For sure,
with its own challenges.
For sure. Well, I know it's a little late.
And we wide awake.
We are wide awake with our wine. Let's cheers it up.
Toast.
Toast to Mommy Mondays. Need a little something to get us started.
Yes.
To get us started. Before we dive, into Carmen, I just want to talk about how we met.
Yes.
First, we met via social media.
Right.
I'm a visual person, so I see you visually, especially, people who are in the entrepreneurship founder space, especially the wellness space. Right. I'm also in that space as well. And Carmen does a lot of, what is it, fit?
I do. So I have Confident,
yes,
which is my fitness page. I'm also a fitness coach, along with the confidence and wellness.
Okay. And so my spirit was just, aligned and tied to you anyway, just seeing what you visually do.
Yep.
And we officially met at Fairmount Innovation Lab. Was that 2020 or 21?
What year was this?
23. So it was in 21 where there was the live audience for Mommy Mondays, and my sis was in the audience, and we kind of, really kind of had a talk from there, and then it kind of grew from there. So I'm really, really excited. She has so many insightful things to share, and so we're just gonna get into it. Let's
do it.
Yes. All right. So from everybody that saw your video or didn't see your promo video for Mommy Mondays, you became a mother very early at 14 years old, and that is just. Can you just take us there?
Yeah. When I got pregnant when I was 13 years old.
Wow.
And that was a time because, I had already been exposed at a very early age to sex. And so, having sex and just doing sexual things, that was all normal to me. It was nothing new to me.
But why was it normal?
It was normal because I was molested, right? So I was molested from the time I was 3 until about 11.
Wow.
By 10 different men. And it is Sexual Assault and Abuse Awareness Month. And one, I just want to give grace and honor to other victims and survivors of sexual assault and abuse. And to let you know you're not alone.
For sure.
During that time in my life, once my molestation stopped, what was awakened in me didn't. right? I didn't know what it meant to be a child and just hang out with friends, right? Like I was far beyond,
like, yeah, we hanging out.
Yeah, you already know what time it is,
I
right?
know.
But when I got pregnant, it was surprising, right? Because that was 1997. There was no sex education. I didn't have condoms because I'm not supposed to be doing this, right?
Right.
I didn't know how my body worked. I didn't know that if I did this, then this could happen. I didn't, I had my period, but no one had those conversations with me about my body to help me understand how my body works and to prevent certain things from happening. So when I got pregnant, it was like, I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant, right? Now,
it's still a shock. It
was a
matter.
shock.
It doesn't matter how active you are.
Right.
Being pregnant is a shock.
I was just trying to have a good time, right? I wasn't trying to be fruitful and multiply, right? But I got pregnant, and my immediate thought was, I'm not having no baby, right? So back then, my doctor said to me, "We'll schedule your abortion. You don't have to tell your grandmother. We'll take care of everything." So they scheduled my abortion. Lo and behold, I went to my abortion on the wrong day. Now, if anyone knows,
God works, right?
God play too much sometimes. Every time, God, you play too much sometimes, right? But if anyone in Massachusetts knows, like, abortion clinics don't open on Monday. I didn't know that. So here I am on Monday on the train and no abortion. So I go home like, oh, it's tomorrow. Well, when I get home, my grandmother finds out and learns that I'm pregnant. And she's like, oh, no. My grandmother's Hispanic. And for her, me being pregnant was not a big deal. In my family, the adults started having babies at a very early age. My biological mother had her baby when she was 15. Wow. My grandmother had her first baby when she was 15. So for her, it was like, what do you mean?
It's normal. This is what we do.
This is what we do. We're having a baby, right?
Right.
I was scared. I thought she was going to whoop my. Okay. But she was like, you pregnant? I was like, yeah. She said, all right, go to the store and get me some ginger ale. I was like, right? But, I'm grateful to have my grandmother, to have had my grandmother at that time, because she made pregnancy easy for me. She took care of me. She made sure that everything I needed, I had. I had more food than I ever needed. Like, she was like, come on, it's time to eat. I'm not hungry. Come on and eat. You got to feed the baby, Deep down, I can feel her joy for me being pregnant. However, even during that time, I was also in a very abusive relationship with my son's father. By the time I was 6 months pregnant, the physical and emotional abuse started. And continued for a long time. Right. But, when I had my baby, life didn't feel so hard because I had my mom and I had my grandmother who really just made sure that everything was well. My family outcasted me. They called me a whore, said I was worthless. I would never amount to anything. Told all my cousins, you stay away from her or you'll end up just like her. And those things really hurt me because I was already suffering from childhood up until, the molestation stopped and everything. But I still now was struggling with shame. And, I never told anybody what happened. I never told anyone what I had been going through. I already saw myself as unworthy because, what I experienced, like I'm nasty, like, so I already didn't think highly of myself. And now hearing these messages from my family, people who are supposed to love me, people who are supposed to care for me, hearing these messages from them further validated that I was unworthy, right? And so I was happy to have my grandmother there with me, and my mom, who is not my biological mom, but is a person that stepped in to help my grandmother with me because my biological mom died when I was 1.
That's a blessing. Yeah. Just like the village,
God said, your mom's gone, let me give you another one. Right. He really gave me the most amazing, I don't like to call it replacement. I'm gonna say substitute. That like you get a substitute teacher. He gave me the most amazing substitute mom who stepped in and has just been a part of my life to this day. That's my mommy. Wow. Can't nobody tell me nothing, right?
Shout out to mommy.
That's my mommy, right? But her and my grandmother really came together to say, you know what? It is what it is. It happened. She's pregnant. She had a baby. And did everything in their power to make sure my needs were met, the baby's needs were met. I was able to get back in school within a timely manner, get back to doing what I needed to do. Mm-hmm. But then my grandmother died when my son was 6 months old. Wow. And, at that time, it was like, I was 15. It was just a few days after my 15th birthday. And I'm like, God, why? Yeah. Like, I'm a child. I'm a child. Why is my burden so heavy? Right. My burden was so heavy at such a young age. Losing my mom. My dad was in the streets. He was a crack addict, unfortunately. Going through what I went through in childhood, having this baby, being in a relationship at a young age with a man. Well, he wasn't even a man. He was a child himself, right? Who's beating me, who's treating me horribly. And now I lose the only person I have. Yeah. And because my mom wasn't blood related, I had to go now live with that family who told me I was worthless, who told me I wasn't worthy of love. And that was hard because they also forbade me from seeing my mom. Right. Wow. So I was no longer allowed to be around her. I was no longer allowed to talk to her. Back then I didn't have no cell phone. So I couldn't talk to her. For them, it was like, she's not your family. So there's no need for her to be around.
Do you feel like it was like that because she was actually somebody to really show you love and support? Yeah. And that's not.
And I feel like they just didn't want me to have that. I feel like they did not want me to have that. It's like, what other reason?
Yeah.
You can't think of what other reason could you have to say, you're not seeing this person anymore, right? A person that has been there for so long, has supported me for so long. So it was hard because, I was a child with a child. Yep. A baby with a baby, right? Baby. Yeah. And I began to have suicidal thoughts. I began to isolate myself. I was severely depressed as a child, and with my family being Hispanic, there's no such thing as depression, right? There's no.
That's in most cultural households.
Right.
What is that?
Right. What is that? There's no such thing as depression. You're a child. What do you know about depression? Right. Which is
you don't have responsibilities when you really have had the weight of the world on your shoulders.
Right. And not one time, I've been doing some writing, and I'm just writing about this, and not one time did my family ever say to me, "Are you okay? How do you feel? What do you need right now?" Like, here's a child who has lost everything. Mother, father, grandmother, and has a child. Right.
Right. You know what? I don't mean to cut you off right there. And we didn't even talk about this off record, but as we talk about it, I'm feeling it. Even family members, when you have something inside, and God has given you something and you don't even know it yet yourself. And my mom always says it to me. It's not a secret what God has given you. It's not a secret what God has placed inside of you. And sometimes even when you can't see it in the season, other people can see it. Yeah. And they don't want that light to shine.
I felt that.
They don't want that light to shine. And so that's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm feeling even as you say it.
Because how can you have so much anger towards a child?
Exactly.
Right.
They already knew who you were going to become.
They felt it. My understanding is also my mother was a very strong personality, and they did not like her.
Right.
So that was also, it probably was
like a little chip.
A lot of that. Like, oh, that's,
Yeah.
And I felt that. I always, what you just said, like when people see something in you that's light, it's like, we got to kill that.
Because it can't be duplicated.
Right.
That's the one thing about light. Like, everybody has their light. And when people don't have it, or they're jealous and they can't articulate, like, you have something that I don't, that's how it comes off.
That's
like
exactly
the alienation, the, making fun of, the isolation. It comes from that.
And, when you do that to a child, when you crush a child's spirit, it takes them so long to find that light.
Yes.
It takes them so long, because children are all born with light. Like, these kids,
before it's tainted, they
are
and with truth too.
Okay,
even if it hurts.
and that's the one thing you always hear. If you want to know how to live, how to behave, watch a child. right? Because when they come into this world with their light and their honesty and their authenticity, nothing can put it out until someone tells them it's not good enough. Right.
Yeah.
And my family worked really hard to crush that part of me, but I realized God had another plan.
Always.
God,
he had a plan even while this was happening. You were being made.
I was being molded to be the woman I am right now, as I continue to just grow. And I was afraid. I was afraid of so much in my life because I really felt like I was alone in this world at that age.
Yep.
But when I was close to 16, I found the courage to say, I can't do this shit no more.
you got to just give it up.
I found the courage to say, girl, you got to do something, because if you stay here, you might as well die. Like, that's what I told myself. If you stay here, you might as well kill yourself. But honestly, that was a point in my life when I wanted to die, but I thought about my son. And the thought of him not having a mom the way I didn't have a mom and going through what I went through, I couldn't live with that.
Right.
So I said, all right.
So all the motivation you needed, right?
He was it. So I packed up his little bag and I ran away. I ran away to my mom's house.
Yeah.
I got there. She was like, what you doing here?
So that's how you guys got reconnected.
Yeah. I ran away. I was like, I can't stay.
Takes courage. Yeah.
Listen, I had that, and as I'm thinking about it and talking about it, that was the first level or burst of courage I ever received in my life. Was to save my life. Wow. I literally had to save my life, because the way I was being treated in my family, I felt like I was in a literal prison, and I had to break out. So I ran away to my mom, and my family called her and said, if you don't send her home tonight, we're calling the police and you're going to jail. And I said, well, guess what? I'm going to leave, but I ain't going back there. I don't know where I'm going to go, because I don't want you to get in trouble, Mom. But I'm going to go ahead and go.
But see, like, just, and this is where I say, I don't even say your family. I'll say like the enemy use, like the spirit of the enemy, use them, because it's just like, how do you tear me down when I'm here? Now I'm not here.
And you want to fight for me?
And you are fighting that I not be around somebody that loves and cares for me. You know what I'm saying?
It was hard.
That's a hard fight. That's a hard fight as an adult, as a 30-something-year-old. Yeah. But as a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old,
that's
hard. Heavy.
I refused to go back though.
Yes.
And I stayed. And my mom said, I told my mom, I'll sleep outside in the street before I go back there. And she said, all right. And she always had a bedroom for me in her home. Nice. So she was like, go to your room. And if the police comes, we'll have to figure this out. I said, well, they're going to lock me up because I ain't going back there. You know what I mean? But we ended up going to court. My family took my mom to court. The whole family came.
The whole village came out for that one,
huh? The whole family came. And the way they did my mom, you effing dyke. You just want to rape her. You just want to molest. I mean, they went hard. But the judge looked at me in that courthouse and he said, you're 15 years old and you have a child. I'm not doing this here today. Right. What do you want? And I said, I want to be with my mom. And he said, court adjourned, girl. And I said, thank you. Thank you, Father. And from that day, my life began to look up. I began to feel a sense of relief, because my mom understood I had a baby. And this is, and just speaking to mothers, who may be experiencing this hardship of having a child who had a child, right? Because I also was the director of a teen parenting shelter for several years, St. Mary's, and had to support a lot of teen moms, which I know God put me there, right? But we have to keep in mind that just because a child has a child, her mind does not fast forward into adulthood. Right. And that is the expectation that people put on young people who have children. They made a mistake. Do not hold it against them for the rest of their lives. Right. Oh, well, now you have a child. You got to be like this. they're still children.
Mm-hmm.
They're still children.
Mm-hmm.
And so, one thing I applaud my mom for is she still allowed me to be a teenager. She said, listen,
that's amazing.
Clean your room, do your chores, give the baby a bath, come put him in my bed, go enjoy your night.
Wow.
Go hang with your friends.
That's
My aunts, they wasn't. Girl, I was
keep
locked
you
in that room.
Like, you better take care of that.
I was locked in the room every day because she would get mad at me, like, why you keep going in your room and closing the door? What do you want me to do? I'm not allowed to go outside. I'm not allowed to go be with friends. As long as I have a baby, you let me know I can't do anything. So what do you want me to do? Right? My mom was like, you're a child. Do your chores and go out and go live your life. Right?
Wow.
And like, Mommy, I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Mommy.
It's giving me joy just hearing about your mom. Like, I want to meet her because, like, she was my saving grace. Yeah.
She was, and not just me, like, all of my siblings are adopted, right? Like, we're all adopted. My mom adopted all of us. My mom has 2 biological children, and there's about 7 or 8 of us. Shit, there's so many of us. But my mom adopted all of us.
Yeah.
Right. And we're all together. But, it speaks to my mom knowing when children need love and when they're not receiving it. And she says, I'm going to be the person to give them that love.
Yeah.
I know she was my intervention, right, to suicide. She was my intervention. She was who God sent. He groomed her. He prepared her just for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just for me.
That's a blessing,
man.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing and a gift, even throughout all
everything.
Of this.
And me and my mom, we've had our trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
People, when you see me and my mom, people are like, yeah, they are mother and daughter because I don't want to hear it, Mom. Like, not today. That's my mom. And so, but forever, my growth is hers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because without that, teen parenting could have been very detrimental for me, especially being in the abusive relationship where my mom was a no, but she would tell him, like, don't come the F back over. Like,
and you needed that.
Right.
You needed that. You needed somebody to advocate for you.
Right. And my mom was that. So I am forever grateful. But, teen parenting is traumatizing. Yeah. And that's what people should know, is that teen parenting is traumatizing because it takes a lot away from who you are as a young person.
And who you're becoming.
Yeah. Because now you can no longer just think freely, right? There's no more free thinking about life and wandering and just having space and room to mess up and get it right. Because now all you can think is, I can't mess up because this child. Right. And so it's very challenging. Can teen parents be successful? Look at me. Yes.
Very successful.
Can they? Absolutely. However, they need support. They need support. They need to know that being a mom at a young age does not make you unworthy, as the world would have you believe, with the stares and the looks. Like I said, I was the director of a teen parenting shelter. I had pregnant 13-year-olds. I had 15-year-olds that had 2 babies. I seen it all. But here's the thing. We cannot judge these young people because we have no idea why they made the decisions they made. However, all we can do is support them in the decision so that they can be successful and so that their children can be healthy, right?
Right.
So yeah, that was the beginning of my parenting journey, right?
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful journey. It was because me and my son grew up together. When me and my son together now, people be like, "Oh, that's your man." Like, that's my son.
Let's get it right. That's my son.
My son's 25, and he is 6'2", 270-something pounds. And when people see us together, they're like, "Oh, that's her man. That's my son. Yeah. That's my." We can talk.
That's success right there. You know what I'm saying?
It's a beautiful. That's success. It's a beautiful thing because, my mom made sure that he had a good life. Whatever I couldn't do, my mom stepped in and made sure that he never needed for anything. I think, for me going through trauma,
Yeah.
I struggled with connecting emotionally to my son. I was able to provide, I was able to, cook, clean, whatever. But that emotional connection is something I struggled with because I was already so hardened.
Right.
I had an extreme shell around me. And so our relationship was very transactional. It was, you got what you need. I cooked, I cleaned. You got clothes, you got sneakers. You good.
Done. Yeah. We're done.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Like you good. I didn't nurture my son. And those are the things that I look back on that I'm like, I had to forgive myself for, because of my inability to do that for him. I feel like my mom was that for him, and he has a much closer relationship with my mother than he does with me. And me and my son, we have a good relationship, but we're more like brother and sister. And he tell people that's my sister. I'll be like, all right, when you need something, I'm your sister. Don't forget. But I'm grateful that he has it. He lives with my mom now. You know what I mean? So
awesome.
I'm grateful that even though now I'm working on being more, because it's never too late.
Never too late.
It's never too late. So now I'm working on being more nurturing towards him. Whenever I see him, I'm like, give your mommy a hug, hug him, kiss him. Boy, way bigger than me. I'll be like, give your mom a hug. But what matters to me is that he has it.
Yes.
That he has the love, that he has a place where he can feel warm.
Yeah.
And that's what matters, even if it's not me.
And it's a place that you trust. And it's where you got love from, so you can
so I know that the love is authentic.
Exactly.
Right.
So and even if it's not coming from you, that's right. Like, he's good.
I got 2 kids, and both of my kids rather be there than me. And I'm okay with that. Because sis, I need a break. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Bye-bye. Go to your grandmother. I am not worried. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for taking us through the beginning of just how you became a mother. That's heavy, but it was the beginning of this beautiful journey. It was the unknown, but you are where you are sitting today because of these experiences. Kind of want to go into, like you said, at 16 years old, you were like, I built up the courage to save my life, but once you were on that path of, doing your thing, being a mother, what challenges, you talked a little bit about like not being as nurturing as you would have liked, obviously, because you were still small and navigating certain emotions and things. What things did you then kind of come face to face with,
I would say the hardest part was the relationship I was in, because being with someone who's beating you down emotionally when you've already had so much of that in your life, beating you down emotionally, but then also beating you down physically. I lost my power, right? I lost my power in that relationship. And when I was 17, he went to the military, and I feel like that saved my life. That was another life-saving moment for me, right? Like, he went to the military because he didn't want to finish high school. And I was like, thank you, God. When he left to go to the military, it felt like another weight had been lifted, right? It was like the stacks were being lifted one after the other, right? Because, being with him was scary for me. It was scary for me. He was raping me. He was like, one day he beat me so bad I couldn't eat for a week because of the way he, jacked my mouth up. He would choke me out. Like, it was just stuff that was like, how is this happening to me?
And this is not your son's father.
This is my son's father.
This is father.
Okay. my first son's father. So it was like, how is this happening? Right? And so when he went off to the military, girl, I started to feel free. Like, I don't have somebody around, because he was coming to my school every day. When I got out of school, he was standing outside waiting, to see who I'm talking to see who's around. Like, it was, and people would stay away from me because it was like, yo, nobody wants to deal with your crazy baby's father. Right. And so for him, it was like, I'm here to get you. So I couldn't talk to nobody. I had to keep it pushing, So it was like, whoo. freedom. Lord have mercy.
Yeah,
But then
girl.
after that, it was just now the struggle of getting the hell out of high school, right? Because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't learn. I couldn't think. I went to high school and I was like, what is happening here? I'm tired. I'm stressed out. I'm overwhelmed. I'm depressed. And I kind of chopped it up to I'm stupid, right? Like I felt like I just didn't have the capacity to learn. I had one teacher who taught me like no one else, Mr. Macabre. I don't know if he's still alive, Mr. Macabre, but he taught me in a way that was so nurturing and understanding that made me feel like maybe I can learn, right? But as I began doing some research, I learned that when children begin experiencing stress at a very early age, it kind of blocks their ability to receive information and learning. Because I began doing my research around how the brain is impacted by not just molestation, abuse, neglect. Being in a home where domestic violence is happening even to your parent creates stress in a child.
Stress and anxiety.
And so when a child is going through stress, they go to school, they're acting out, they're doing all types of things because they can't focus on learning. There's too much else going on that has their brain waves all over the place. So I learned that about myself, which helped me go, okay, I'm not stupid. I was stressed out, right? But I realized I had a lot of sympathy. Sorry, y'all, I had to fix myself.
I had to fix myself too. It's comfortable on this couch, though.
Right. I realized they had a lot of sympathy for me. So they pushed me through high school, which I stopped doing that to folks. But they pushed me through high school.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have graduated. I didn't do nothing. I went to school and I went to sleep. I was tired, right? I did nothing, but I graduated.
Right.
After graduating, now it's like, okay, you 18. And my mother wasn't playing no games. My mother was like, you 18. You getting a job? Or you going to school? What you doing? And I was like, I'm going to get a job because college ain't it. Right. Come on. I
already been through this. I hardly made it through
I barely got out of high school. College ain't it, right? So I got a job. And my mom was like, all right, you got to pay some bills. You got to start taking more responsibility for your son now. You're stepping into adulthood. And I'm like, damn. What kid graduates from high school and now got to step right into adulthood? Look what, right?
Yep.
But now this is, the new challenge. I thought in my mind, once I graduate high school, shoot, life is about to be golden. And it was everything but that, right? So, I worked for a couple of years, but it was a struggle. Me and my mom was, had going back and forth because I just wanted to be free. And she's like, B, come on, I did enough now. Come on. I wasn't ready to be that level of responsible. Then my mom was like, girl, you got to go. I was like, I got to go. She's like, no, you play too much. You got to go. Right. But today my mom regrets kicking me out. But I tell her that was the best thing she did for me. Because had my mom not said, you need to grow up now. Like it's time. And if you're not going to do it, you're going to have to go out and do it. I would not have gone out and done it. When my mom kicked me out, I went to live with one of my aunts. It was the worst experience of my life. I mean, God, dog. But, within a few months, I got my own apartment.
Few months? That's
great. Like 6-7 months, I got my own apartment. My mom was so proud of me. My mom went shopping for my apartment. I got everything I needed. And I began to flourish. I began to do what I needed to do. However, I was still struggling to make ends meet. Right? Part-time job. It just wasn't hitting. And I was like, oh my God, I'm poor. I'm broke. So now I'm like, if I don't get it together, I validate the messages that my family said. You're worthless. Your life is over. You're never going to be anything. And me not putting my best foot forward validated those messages. So now I said, I might have to go to college. Let me tell you something. That was a hard decision.
Going to college.
I said, I might have to go to college because every job I try to get that would make a little more, it was like, you have to at least have an associate's degree.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I went to college. That was a struggle. First semester, they said, you got to go. If these grades come like this one more time, you out of here. They put me on academic probation. I was like, oh no. Because even that letter about academic probation felt like rejection.
Mm-hmm.
Again.
Yeah.
I got that familiar feeling of, you're not worthy of even being here. Right? Let me tell you something. The way I got it together, from then on, I was a straight A student. Okay. Yeah. Graduated, got my associate's degree, and that was great. So now I'm like, all right, but still can't really find the type of job I want. Plus, I figured once I graduated college, my family would see that, okay. But
I got a little bit more going on.
It wasn't the case, right? It wasn't the case. So I was like, I'm going to go back to college. I'm going to go back, flying, bachelor's degree, got it, boom. Got a great job, boom. But my family still, she ain't shit, really. I was like, oh, word? Okay, going back to college, right? Wow. Go back, get my MBA. They still didn't see me. But now I realize I didn't even see myself. I was waiting for them to validate me, tell me I was good enough, and all of these things, this seeking validation, this people pleasing, all of this is what had me become a high achiever, or overachiever, just doing the most. Now I got 3 degrees, and who helping me pay these loans? All the people I was doing it for, right?
Right.
The people I was doing it for the likes. Why y'all not helping? They're not helping me, sis, right? But to me, that's the lesson.
Right.
Never do something for someone else.
Never.
Everything you do must come from your heart.
Yeah.
Right? Check your motivation. Some people say, yeah, I'm motivated by my pain. I'm motivated. Pain cannot be your motivation. Right? Because what happens when you achieve? Now you got to find more pain to motivate you. Pain cannot be the motivation.
No.
Right? The motivation has to be for you and within. What will this do for me? How will this impact my life? How will this improve my life? Right. How will it allow me to improve the lives of those around me? Not doing it to prove people wrong. I hate when people say, prove them wrong. Don't prove them wrong. Right. Prove yourself right. Tell yourself, I can do it, and then go and prove and validate that message that you gave to yourself. Forget them, because you'll never be good enough for the world.
Never.
You'll never be good enough for the world.
Yeah, that's a word right there.
So that was probably like the greatest challenge, was just trying to find my foot in the world, trying to find some balance and to be able to stand on my feet. But every challenge outside of that was relationships.
Yep. And that's, I want to get into relationships kind of like for the rest of the episode, because there's so many nuances in between there when we talk about abuse, people pleasing, or just see me. We perform and do all these things so that our partner or the person that we want to see us, not even realizing that we don't even need their validation. We have enough inside, or even other people around us. It's always that we could tap into, but we always are going for the unhealed parts of us.
That's it.
Are going for the people like
it's trauma bonding.
Yeah, trauma bonding.
It's trauma bonding.
Trauma bonding. The episode is called "You're Worthy of Hard Things." You are worthy of hard things in your life. And what you told us thus far, you are worthy, and God was grooming you.
Oh my God!
And had a plan for you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? For you to even experience these things, so that you could even say, "Hey," to a young mom, like being a teen mom or being a teen parent is very stressful. I can't say that. Being a mother at 27.
Right.
When I became a mom, and so I think that that's just beautiful. Like God has us in certain places and has us going through certain things, good, bad, and indifferent, but they're all for the better good of others. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, relationships, especially like romantic relationships, sexual relationships, they take a lot of our energy.
Oh yeah.
A lot of energy, a lot of time,
Yeah.
a lot of energy. And can you just kind of take us through some of those things to where, you know, the unhealthy parts of you,
Yeah.
to where you said, this is not right. What I'm accepting is not right.
Yeah.
I need to get myself together.
Yeah.
I need to think differently about myself. And what were those things, those hard things?
Yeah.
And how did you like turn your mindset around
Absolutely
to get out of those?
You know, so first thing I want to say, one thing you said is, you know, how relationships take a lot of our energy. And, you know, I like to shift that talk and say we give a lot of our energy.
Ooh,
right?
Because sometimes it's not even asked for.
Right. Nothing can be taken that we don't give.
Yep.
Right. And
yeah,
I spent many years giving and giving and giving with the hopes of receiving. Right, with the hopes of receiving love and honor and a ring and, you know, all that love good. And attention, right.
Yep.
And I realized, you know, one thing is when you give with the hope of receiving something, your intentions are already not pure. They're already not pure, right? Because whenever you give, you should only be giving from your heart, and if nothing is returned, it's okay, right? Because I didn't give more than I had to give. Right? What happens if we give more than we have to give?
Always.
We pour until it's dry when it comes to these relationships, because we get into this space of codependency. If I give and he gives back, we begin to romanticize about what it's going to be like if it works out, and right? And that romanticizing feels good. It feels good that we make up
but
these
that
stories.
Could be the killer.
But it's dangerous.
Yes.
We make up stories in our heads about people who aren't even thinking nowhere near what we're thinking, right? I did that for so many years. And in my last relationship, I was in that relationship for 6 years, engaged for 4 of them. Engaged for 4 years.
Okay.
However, that relationship started toxic. But I was so toxic that I could not see the trap I was putting myself in. And, you know, often we look at these men and say, oh, he's so toxic. If you are, a toxic relationship requires 2 toxic people, honey. If you in a toxic relationship, you is toxic too. Let's just keep it 100, okay? Y'all might not like it, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, okay? So
gotta take that accountability.
It is, right? And that's it. And that's what it starts with.
Yeah.
And so I was in that relationship performing for so long and so hard. I was on that stage every day, sis. I mean, the clown hat, you know, the cat. I don't know.
The tap dancing.
Everything, girl. There was this. I don't know if you've seen this thing. It was on Instagram. I can't remember. Oh my God, I'm gonna find it and finish. But the girl was talking about what people do in relationships while she was putting on clown makeup, and then by the end of it, her whole face was a clown, because she was really talking about how we perform in these relationships for men who haven't even asked for the performance, who didn't even pay for the performance, right? They're getting a free performance. We is free cooking. We is cleaning. Girl, I was taking care of his kids, and he had 6 of them, okay? I was doing everything. Girl, I was sexing on the drop of a head. What you say, Poppy? Okay, right? Whatever was asked of me, thinking that if I show up, even on moments and days that I didn't want to, that he would see how much I love him. He would come in the house at 3 o'clock in the morning, babe, I'm hungry. All right, let me get it, but make you something to eat, but you want some steak? Okay, right? Performing. Wow. I did that for a long time. Throughout the whole time, he never changed, right? And that is what they say, when someone show you who they are, believe them. But I didn't want to believe it. Right. I wanted to believe that as long as I showed up, I could change his mind and his behavior. You know, he cheated on me throughout the whole relationship, from the beginning to the end. And, you know, but I stayed, right? However, I had poured so much, and we talk about pouring until we're empty. I poured so much until I hit rock bottom. I had nothing left to give. It was either do or die. Something got to give. And
I just wanted to be, because you gave a lot of examples too. Like, when we talk about giving, a lot of times, especially now, you know what I mean? It's the bag, it's the finances. It's like, you're giving your last. That's part of it. That's part of it, because people can drain, or you can give and drain your finances.
Yeah, wow, that's one thing I ain't never gave.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what somebody might be doing that, but there's other ways. There's other ways in which we can perform.
Yeah, so it's your time and energy.
Yep.
Right. It's sex.
Yep.
Right. It's favors. It's just being available, overly available. Right, because that's also a form of, whenever they call, your friends could be like, "Oh, you come? No, I can, because I'm going to do this." Right, and so when we're thinking about giving, it's just giving all of you. Whether it could be money too. I know women who do this. Whatever he asked me for, I just want to make sure,
it's good.
Right. So they're going to take care of me. They're going to do all the things. And we have to remember why we're doing it. We're doing it with the hopes that we will receive it back. But they keep showing you over and over again, I'm not giving you nothing.
Right.
I'm not giving you nothing. But we will keep doing it. Right. So when we began therapy, because even though he couldn't treat me right, he wouldn't leave me the hell alone. Right? Whenever that's that toxic, right? But here's the thing. I say he wouldn't leave me alone. I wouldn't let him leave me alone.
Right.
Right.
Let go.
Right. Because I would say, don't come back. He would come back. I was like, whatever, fine. Go lay down. Leave me alone. Right. So I wasn't ready. But when I began therapy with him, my goal for therapy was for the therapist to see how he was behaving.
Get in his ass.
And get him right. Get him right. Because I'm telling the therapist, because I do this. And this is, and the therapist is just looking at me like, right? Then the therapist started asking me questions about me. I'm like, bruh, we ain't here for me. Right? I'm good. Look at me. I've been through a lot, and I got degrees. I got a home. I'm good as him. But the therapist would not let up, because he wanted me to see me, and that's who I never saw.
Wow.
I never saw me. And the thing is, the beginning of your transformation is seeing yourself. Wow. Seeing yourself, looking at yourself, and asking yourself, why am I showing up like this? Why am I continuing to give so much to a person that only takes? Right. I'm empty. I'm dry. I'm tired. He's full. He's full. He's happy. Everything that I'm giving, he's taking. But there's nothing being reciprocated. And we have to ask ourselves, why do we do this to us? Not why do they do this to us? They're not doing anything wrong. They already told you. Right.
Yeah.
So I began that journey of looking at me. Hardest journey of my life. Right. Because now I had to be honest with myself. I had suppressed my molestation for so long. I had suppressed the abuse. I had suppressed everything I was going through. And I was just looking for someone to fill those voids, to fill everything I was missing. I never received love. I never received validation. No one ever told me I was beautiful. I didn't receive any of that. So I was just looking for a man to fill all these parts of me that I never received from the people who were supposed to do it. Guess what? When you're a child, you're supposed to get that. You're supposed to get, you are so pretty. You are so amazing. You are so, I tell my son all the time, you are so handsome. You are amazing, right? You're supposed to get that as a child. That's getting your fill as a child, right? I didn't get any of that. So what we do often is we place this responsibility on this man. We place responsibility on men to make us feel worthy, to make us feel seen, to make us feel valuable. And guess what? It's not their responsibility. It's not. It's I said, I was looking for my father in this man. I was looking for this man to be everything my daddy was supposed to be to me. And one day I said, you are not my father.
Mm.
And then I had to forgive my father.
Yeah.
I had to forgive my father for not being the man I needed him to be in my life, so that I would never put up with some shit like this, right? Fathers, you teach your girls what to receive. You teach your baby girls how to be loved by men, because you are the first man in their lives. And just being in their lives is not enough.
No.
Pouring in to your daughter's life.
Presently pouring in.
Presently. Buy her flowers. Right. You can't just be present. You got to presently pour in, intentionally pour in.
Yes.
Take your baby girl. And I have a granddaughter. I tell my son, take my granddaughter on dates, please.
Yeah.
Buy her flowers. Take her to get her nails done. Take her to do all the things that she says, my daddy did all these things for me. Right. And so I had to really come to terms with, I'm out here dating my daddy. My daddy couldn't do for me these things. My daddy neglected me.
Right.
My daddy always said he was coming. He never showed up, right? My daddy was too busy, occupied in the world to pour into me. So I only dated men who showed up like my dad.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. Every man I dated was just like my daddy. A liar, neglectful, could not be there, could not, could not be emotionally available for me in any way. And that was attractive to me because I loved my daddy. I loved my daddy, even though he was never there, even though whenever I saw him, he was drunk, he was high, he was going through it, he was stumbling. I still loved my daddy. So I only chose men who were like my daddy. And there's a saying that until you forgive your father, you will keep dating him. Right? So when I came to terms with that, I had to forgive my daddy. My daddy had already been gone for 3 years, died. Wow. But I had to forgive him in his grave. I had to forgive him in his grave so I could heal that daddy-daughter wound. Forgive myself for allowing this to be a part of my life. Forgive myself for that man didn't mistreat me. I mistreated myself. Yet I'm so grateful for my experience with that man, because it was that experience with that man that brought me to the lowest point in my life so I can come to the highest. Right. So I have no regrets about that relationship, and I have no anger for him. I feel for him. I have a lot of empathy for him, because the other piece that was crazy, so I don't know if I told y'all, by the end of my relationship, this man had cheated on me with over 25 women. And I thank God for keeping me healthy. Thank you, God. Right. That was one of the main reasons I finally walked away from that relationship, because I said, you know what? I cannot let this man get me sick. Right. But every relationship I have been in prior to this man, I cheated on every single. They might be watching this. I'm sorry, I cheated on you. I cheated on you.
It's the truth.
It's cheated. Transparent truth. When I tell you, I cheated on every single one, because I was searching. I was searching for love in the world, right? I was searching for that value. And when one person couldn't feel it, I had to go to the next person, right? That's what he was doing. How can I be mad at him? How can I be upset with someone who is living the same life I was living? Now I begin this journey. I can't be mad at him for not being ready to begin the same journey, right? And so I was able to forgive him. I was able to forgive him and say, I understand, and I'm not mad at you, but you gotta go.
What you gotta go.
What you gotta
I'm mad at you, but we can't do this.
No, we can't do this anymore. And all of this happened, like the final ending of that relationship happened during the pandemic. And one of the ways that it really happened was I had to break that soul tie I had with him. So even in the relationship, I stopped having sex with him. Right. I stopped giving him my body, because I realized that, I was giving him my body from a place of codependency. I was giving this man my body so that he would love me. But because now I no longer needed you to love me, because I loved myself. I no longer needed you to see me, because I saw myself. And that transformation in me scared him, because I wasn't looking for the brother no more. The brother said, I'm going out. I said, have a good night.
Because they could feel like when you're dependent on them, and when that breaks, it's like, what's going on? Right. I'm losing my control.
I'm losing my control over you. Right. It was no longer Where you going? Who you going with? What time you gonna be back? Bye-bye. I was sleeping good. One,
oh, you ain't gonna be here good. I'll sleep even better.
I can sleep on both sides of the bed.
Right.
Right. But two, I was no longer worried about my body because I was always worried about my body when I had sex with him and going to get, tested. And like, if you're in a relationship with someone and regularly going to get tested,
right?
Boo, come on,
that's flag number one.
That's flag number one. But red flag on your part because you keep laying with the person, right? And so I was no longer worried about my body. I was no longer worried about him. I don't have sex with you, right? And releasing that sexual soul tie, I felt my healing coming on even more because that's where I really began walking in my power. Because not having sex with him was the hardest thing for me to do. Because it was to be like one thing you said earlier is when you get used to doing something.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It becomes just a part of you. Right. It's the performance. It's just regular. Right. I had to break a habit.
Yep. Breaking a habit is so hard. Forming habits, whatever. Just start. I know. Just get started. It's no problem. Just get started. Breaking a habit, though. Breaking that habit of sex, habitual, pointless, not connected, non-emotional sex is like I'm really not getting anything out of this. Yeah. Why am I doing it? Right. I don't even enjoy and you honestly taking on whatever they're bringing. That's right. Right. I love that you brought that up because when you are having sex with a negative person who has so much negative energy, you take their energy, but they also take your positive energy. Right. So now you filled them up. Transfer. Yes. You filled them up and they depleted you. So they left good. They leave feeling good. They're high. They're happy. They two-stepping. And here you are feeling empty and feeling shameful and feeling dirty. Like, why did I just do that? Because part of you knows that I don't want to do this. Why am I doing it? And so I had to fight that demon in me because I have been sexual since I was 3 years old. Right. So now to break that was like, it was prayer. Mm-hmm. For sure. In that moment and through that transformation, I had to really lean on my faith and really strengthen my relationship with God. Yeah. And before that, I was going to church every Sunday, but I was going to church. Church wasn't in me. I was in the church. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Church wasn't in me, but now I had to get church in me. And in order to do that, it couldn't just be Sunday, church. It had to be weekly prayer and devotion, right? It had to be starting my day with my gospel and my uplifting music. It had to be starting my day with full conversations with God and being so vulnerable. I don't talk to God like that. No, I talk to God like we as homies. Mm-hmm. God, let me tell you something. I'm horny and I'm struggling, but I need you to get me through this because I know that you have more for me on the other side of this. And so I think us not having sex became really hard for him. And I was okay with that because his heart wasn't my heart. I had to fight for me. Yeah. Right. And like we said, you're worthy of hard things. It is hard. It is hard to walk away, not from something you're only used to doing, but from something that comforts you. Right. Having sex was comforting for me. Sex is a coping skill for me because through my years of what I've gone through, I became a sex addict. Right. And so I was so addicted to sex that I needed to be having sex daily. Mm-hmm. And if I couldn't have sex daily, I was miserable. Right. Just like a drug. And so I had to now break this tie, break this addiction, break this demon. Mm-hmm. It was a sex demon that was over me, to be honest. Right. Thinking about it all the time, girl. Like, yeah. And so beginning the abstinence journey and fighting, even when he would touch me, I'm like, don't touch me, right? Don't touch me, don't kiss me, don't do nothing. We could hug, that's it. Right. Like it had to get that deep. You had to put up your boundaries. I had to put up some serious boundaries, right? And those boundaries saved my life. Mm-hmm.
because finally I got out of that relationship and decided that I would continue my abstinence journey. And I continued on I was abstinent for close to 2 years. Probably 2 months shy of 2 years. But
you did it though.
But I'm telling you, I know that if I can do abstinence for that amount of time, I can do anything. That abstinence journey gave me so much power, and it let me know that the devil ain't got nothing over me. No matter what he says, you know the saying, any weapon formed against you shall not prosper. The only weapons that's formed against us that will prosper are the weapons we form against ourselves. Right? When we stay in things and places and situations that we know is detrimental, not just to our physical health, our mental health, our emotional health, we are forming these weapons against ourselves. Right?
Yeah.
So, man, coming out of that accident, I was like, girl, you a bad mother.
Yes. It's something about just keeping your word to yourself.
Keeping your word to yourself, the confidence you get, right?
Yeah.
You build confidence. You build so much more self-love, like your self-love becomes so strong. And now sex no longer has control.
Right.
I can control my sexual urges. I can control my sexual experiences. And so, once I came off that journey, I thought that if I had sex, to be honest, the first time I had it, I almost felt like a fiend again. I ain't gonna tell you no lie. The first time I did, I was like, oh my God.
It had been a while. Oh
my God, what just happened to me?
I'm gonna take a sip on that one.
I was like, yo. But here's the beautiful thing. Was I can now engage in sexual activity without needing a person to see me, love me, value me, because it wasn't about, okay, I'm going to have sex with this person and see if, hopefully they'll like me after if I perform well, right? There was none of that. There was
that's an accomplishment. That is amazing.
That when I was on my abstinence journey, I had so many things going through my mind. Like, okay, I'm never having sex again until I'm married. Or I just didn't know. I just knew I didn't want to be in this space anymore. So there was so many things that went through my mind. And then I said to myself, okay, I know what I want, and I know what I don't want. I don't want multiple partners. I'm not with that life, right? And no shade to anyone who is. Yeah. All I say is protect yourself and protect your soul, right? But I know I didn't want to do that, right? And so I was with this one person, and we had an incredible friendship, still do, incredible friendship, and it was, for me it was, we just chill, we have a good time, we talk, we hang out, we do our thing when we do our thing, no codependency. It was no, oh, why he ain't, oh, he must don't like me. There was none of that. And that was like so liberating that I could just enjoy myself and enjoy my experience and enjoy this person's company without any expectations or I'm doing this for you to do this. There was just none of that, But I will say over time, like the person is so dope that I was like, I feel like I like you.
Yeah. Well, at least there were some other feelings that came, out of it.
I started feeling that. But at the end of the day, I also respect that person in the place of, hey, that's not really where I'm at, in regards to relationships. And I totally respect that because this is not how we went in. You know what I mean? So I can't be like, well, no, like, it's okay.
Right.
And I don't feel no kind of way about it. However, I know that in order to take care of myself, I cannot continue in that relationship in that way. We can continue to be friends. Right. We can continue to even hang out from time to time. But I know that it cannot continue sexually because I realize I really like you. You are so dope, but I respect you. And I respect what you want for yourself. And I'm never going to force myself on you or start performing for you. And if I continue to engage in that way, then I know what comes with it.
Right.
And I set myself up, right? And so I think the beautiful thing when we think about relationships is, one, check your intentions. That's first and foremost. First you got to get a good set of values. Know what your values are, know what's important to you, and then ask yourself, whenever you make a decision, does this align with my values? What are my intentions for this engagement? Right? And that's in everything, right? Everything. Friendships. You know, if I say, hey, I want to partner with someone, what are my intentions? Right? Because one thing I realized just in a previous partnership, everybody's intentions ain't pure.
Nope.
Right? Nope. Some people will just want to use you for what you got, who you are, where you're going, and want to ride. Okay, who you're connected to, and want to ride the coattail. I never want to be that person. So if I do collaborate with someone or meet someone, I ask myself first, what are your intentions? Right. Make sure they are pure, because your intentions shape your reality. And if you go into something without pure intentions, you will get ugly back.
Very ugly.
Right?
Very ugly.
You will get it back.
It's good to practice that too. Just asking yourself, like, what is my motive? What do I want to get out of this? Because it always goes back to the why, like the real why.
The real why.
The real why.
And be honest with yourself.
Be honest. And it's just, we just got to be honest about our intentions for things.
And with the other person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
If I was to continue to engage this person and say, you know, I want to continue this because my hopes is that it turns into something more. That person could say, no, it's not.
Yeah.
But I can be honest, right? Whatever comes behind that, if I do continue, the consequences are mine.
Right.
I can't give that person any of that negative, angry emotion because I made this decision. Right. And so, you know, when we are thinking about relationships, when we're dating, when we're out here, when we're with people, what are my intentions? Guys ask me on dates regularly. And first I have to ask myself, before I go on a date with this person, do I even like them enough to go on a date with them? What are the intentions for this date? Is it just to go out and have a good time, or is it really to get to know this person? If it's just to go have a good time and not really get to know this person, I don't go. Why? Because I know that person wants something more. Right. And now I'm playing with you. Right. So I check my intentions because I never want to give somebody something that I don't want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
good.
You know, but also remember, your body is so sacred.
It's a temple.
Your body is so sacred. We have to be mindful of what we welcome in to our bodies, right? Like the guy I was, talking to, he has such great energy and such just great everything that every time I invited him in, every time I invited him in, I felt full, because the exchange of energy was so beautiful, and pure. Right? Neither one of us was trying to, trick one another into,
finesse, manipulate.
Right. It was none of that. We were both very open and honest. And I was like, I like it too much. Right? I can be honest. Right. And when you have people in your life that you can be honest with, those are the type of people you want in your life. Right? But be very mindful about what you allow in, what you allow around your body, in your space. Because some shit you can't shake. You know what I mean?
I do.
Right?
I do. I truly do. Some things you can't shake. And it's funny, like these encounters, relationships and sexual encounters, they're only for, a small percentage or part of our lives.
Absolutely.
We have to go out and do so many other things.
Right.
And it's just funny how that one exchange, whether that be 5 minutes to 3 hours, whatever it is, could have such an effect on your daily
everything,
what you're supposed to do.
Everything.
And I want to know, like, as you were making that transition, like, made your mind up to become abstinent. you know, and you were kind of like, this is what I got to do to save myself. And then came to those realizations. How did that affect your mothering?
Ooh.
How did that change?
You know what? How it really impacted my mothering? It gave me more space to be available for my baby.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Emotionally available for him because I was filling up on my emotional energy.
Yeah.
I was no longer pouring emotional energy into this abyss, into this this empty place.
Right.
Because literally there was nothing. I was not pouring into emotion into something that was growing, right? It was a poisonous tank, and I was pouring into it. And so once I stopped pouring there and filled myself up, now I have more emotional energy for what was important, and that was my baby. And not that I wasn't giving him emotional energy, but now I have so much more to give him because like you said, when we pour out so much, it really drains us. So what I have is limited. I got some, but it's so limited because one, I'm just so stuck and overwhelmed and frustrated with what's happening over here.
I know.
Right? That is so hard to be happy.
It's taking up so much space.
Right. Mental space too. Right? Sometimes you could be with your kid and you're thinking about what's happening over here. You know,
they can feel it.
And they can feel it. They can feel it. They don't deserve that.
Yeah.
If someone is in my life that contributes to the joy and the peace and the happiness, they feel that. If someone you're pouring out to someone that can't contribute, they feel that, right? Keeping in mind, we brought them into this world. They didn't ask to be here. They deserve all that we have to give them, right? Yeah. And so letting go of that person, one, also because I realized that he was using my son to get to me. So he was I'm just going to come get him every Wednesday. And what it really was I want to stay close to her. You didn't give a damn about him. Right. And so when I cut him off, I had to cut him off from my son. And my son was hurting. He was hurting, but my son didn't know that wasn't real. Baby, you was a pawn.
Pawn, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't even need to have that conversation. All I had to do was fill him up and give him all of the things that he thought he was missing over there. Right. Wow. And so, completely walking away from that, it saved both of us. And it's my job to protect him from foolishness like that. So that's the other thing is, I never will invite someone in my life that takes away from my ability to love my baby. Right. And not necessarily my ability to love him, but to pour into him. Because when you are broken down,
you can't do
shit. You
have nothing to pour.
Well, how?
Well, like, what do you want?
That's all I got, baby. We can sit here and watch this movie and I'm asleep. Because I'm so emotionally drained. Baby, mommy can't do it right now. I just can't do it right now. And I did so much of that with him over the years because I just didn't have it, sis. Right. I didn't have it. So now that I can be more intentional about how I shape my life, like we have our own date nights every week. You know what I'm saying? No, when dudes hit me like, oh, I have a date night with my son that night. I'm not available that night. I can't hang with you that night. Right. I don't allow anything to come in between what I have to give him. No one's going to come into my life and create stress. You got to go. Right? You can't come into my life with your stress. You got to go. And so it's really important as moms that we allow our children want to see how we set boundaries. That's number one. Your children are watching you. Yeah. And people don't realize that. Your children are your little girls. Your little girls, your little boys. Boys are watching their dads, but they're also watching how their moms behave with men. Right? Girls are watching their mom, and they're also watching how their dads are treating their mom or treating their girlfriends. They're watching everything and they're absorbing it. What are you teaching them? What are you teaching them? So for me now, if I'm dating a person, there's no need for them to meet my son. What do you mean?
Exactly.
And that's listen, stop.
Stop having
everybody you meet.
Everybody.
No, right? I would love to meet your son for what? I don't even know you like that.
Right. What are we doing?
What do you need to meet my son for? Right. So he doesn't see anyone. Like my son knows my ex and he knows, his father. Like there's nothing else he needs to know. Right. And so I'm just very mindful about, one, if I do date someone and feel like, okay, what type of father figure will he be in my son's life? No, I'm not looking for a father for my son.
Right.
But if you're in my home and we're sharing space and you're around us regularly, I want my son to be able to look at this man and say, that's a great man.
Right.
I aspire to be more like a man like this. Be yourself, but draw inspiration from what's around you, right?
For sure.
All of these things are important. These are not things that I thought about before when I was living in trauma and acting from trauma and living in that painful space. Only thing I thought about was what I needed. I wasn't thinking about what's good for my children. Right? So now, when you heal, your healing impacts everything and everyone around. My healing has me on this couch. My healing has Lindsey here with me.
Yes.
Right? When you heal, it pours. It's not just inner healing. It pours into everything outside of you, including your children, mommies.
Yes,
including your children, right? Because like I said earlier, me and my oldest didn't have the closest relationship, but because of my healing, now I can go to I went to my son and I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I wasn't the mother you needed me to be. But now you're older. I'm still here and I'm going to be everything you need me to be right now. Right? Whether that's teaching him how to fix his finances or teach him about credit. I'm everything I can't be.
Whatever he needs in this season, you're
right.
still very valuable to
that's
him.
It. Because I see so many people try to make up.
Yeah.
You can't make up.
You can't make it up.
What? This is where we are right now. How do we move forward? Right? And so the healing just pours into everything you do. And it will also allow your children to see that transformation is possible.
For sure.
No matter what you go through in life, no matter what mistakes they make, mistakes you make, you can always come back to who you were supposed to be.
For sure. Yes. When you said, because I have some examples of that as well, like, so being so emotionally drained that you were just like falling asleep on a movie and stuff. And sometimes it's not that I have been emotionally drained, but sometimes just being tired in general. But I think, especially with our children, no matter like what's going on, that intentionality is very, very important. So when you said like the date night, I just started that. Me and Avery just started like, okay, 3 nights a week. These are like, we always have quality time, but these are our nights when we're really going to have quality time, like for an hour. It's just us, whatever we want to do, whether that's reading, playing, watching a movie, like all my attention is like going to you. And I want to encourage that to moms as well, because as busy entrepreneurs or just with your career, I don't want you to feel bad for being tired if you don't have the like the capacity to, but make it intentional. Like
do what works for you.
Do what works for you.
Right? Like the world will have you believe like, oh, every night you should be having dinner with your kids. Me and my son have dinner together twice a week. And he knows what our dinner schedule is. Tuesdays and Thursdays is me and you, baby. And he knows that. And he'll go, Mom, every time you come to the table, I'm on my way. He knows, right? We have our Sunday night movie night, we eat fat junk shit, we eat popcorn and ice cream and mangoes. Like we go hard on Sunday nights because that's our time, right? But during the week, then outside of our 2 nights for dinner, I find other moments, right? Whether it's, okay, Gabe, you got to do your reading. I'm going to read with you, right? So I sit down, I'll read with him. That's 20 minutes. Right? We sit down and we read. When it's time for him to go to bed, if I'm not too busy, he'll say, Mom, can you lay with me for a little while? I get right in that bed. Usually I fall asleep too. But
it's be the best sleep. It do. Like...
But if he says, Mommy, can you lay with me? I oblige, because I know that that's him letting me know, like, Mommy, I just want you. And I'll say, Gabe, why? I'm got stuff to, because I want you to hold me. I'm like, okay. Right? And I love that he is so open, like, because I want you to hold me tonight. And allowing him to just be that, be himself. And so just find moments. Find moments to let your kids know, I see you.
Right.
That's really what it is. I see you. I
Right.
value you.
And I think it's easy to find moments and be intentional with our kids when we're intentional with ourselves.
That's where it
And
starts.
can I speak just on behalf? What I've observed
Yes.
with you, and this is what even I believe that drew me to you,
Mhm.
and I think that draws other women to you. Is just like you're so intentional and so serious about like loving your body,
Mhm.
loving yourself, but when there was a live or something you were on, maybe a midweek declaration that you were having, and you were just talking about just loving your body, you know, rubbing the oil on your body, on your stretch marks, on the places
that
where you're scarred
yes.
up or you have insecurities. And that just, I don't know, it just did something to me when I heard you say that.
Yeah.
And it was through the screen and everything. And this is why it's important to put out positive messages on social media, because social media is a good thing if it's used right.
If it's used right.
If it's used right, and also if you're consuming the right
That's
things. Right. So Carmen B is somebody good and positive to
Yeah.
follow, because your mind is going to get full. Your heart is going to get full. But I was really drawn and inspired by you through that talk, because we all, especially as women, have things that we're insecure about. And then mothers, you got the stretch marks, you got the flabby skin, all of those things. And it just did something to me that you were talking about it so freely.
Yeah.
But you know, understanding your story a little bit more, I can understand the place that it comes from. Like you've graduated and bloomed through so many hard things, and
it takes that work,
you know, and that hard work. But I just, if you need, tell them where to follow, where to find you, please.
Instagram, Heal with Carmen B. You can check out my Walk in Power podcast on YouTube, on what's the other one? Amazon Music, Amazon Music, and on Apple. And you can find me on Facebook at Carmen Blyden on Facebook. And yeah, you know, when we think about being intentional, that's every day.
Yep.
Everything that you give yourself, you're able to translate into your other relationships.
Yep.
Right. And so even in intimate relationships, the only way I know how to love now, I realized I never loved any of the men I was with. Right. Wow. Even the last one, I didn't love him. I wanted him to love me. And if you're only needing to be loved, you cannot love.
You can't give it. Yeah.
Right. Learning how to love myself has now allowed me to know how to love other people so much more, because I have so much more patience with people, so much more understanding for people's brokenness and their pain. And so now that I love myself this way, like when I see other people, I just want to love them so much, because I feel like,
and it's so true.
I have so much
it's so
give,
true.
Right?
She is not lying. It's just, you exude that. You exude that, like Heal with Carmen. You exude healing energy, and it's not because, oh my gosh, I want to heal you, but it's because you've healed yourself.
That's right.
That's and it's very evident.
I'm just loving. I'm just loving on you. I just want you to feel this. Just feel this, girl. Take a little bit of this.
Yes.
You know, this love dust. You know.
Yeah.
Because I feel like God really put me here to support people with my love. Not like the women that come to me that I coach, you know, in my coaching program, when they say to me, Carmen, you changed my life, I say, no, I didn't. I just gave you some guidance.
Right.
But you made the decision to show up, to be intentional, to do the work. I just created loving space. I just created space that was patient and that was vulnerable and that allowed you to just release and take the armor off. Right? Because that's what we need, is a space to take the armor off.
Yes.
Because we carry this armor every day and it's heavy, right? And so I think, you know, when you begin to be intentional about loving yourself, loving on yourself, then you understand what love really feels like. Right? Then you really, because you begin to fall, like, I'm so in love with me. I am so in love with me. And when I am in relation or anything with someone else, I say, if the love I receive from others doesn't feel like the love I give myself, I don't want it.
That's good.
I don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's the place you got to get to,
Yeah.
where you can recognize, like, oh, that's not love.
No.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
And be okay with saying, all right, it was nice, right?
Can't hang out.
Because I've been on plenty of dates and I'm like, whoa,
Mm-mm.
it was really nice. And it's been a nice couple weeks or month or whatever, but you got to go. I have no issue. Before you dating someone, you hanging there.
Kind of like hang out. You're not really saying.
I ain't hanging out. Listen, this guy told me.
Life is too short, right?
This guy told me the other day, you're a savage. I said, okay, sweetie, but you take care. Don't worry about it. You take care. You just gonna end it like that? Yeah, sweetie, you take care. I don't need to hoard people anymore. I have enough for me.
You have enough inside that's exuding out.
Absolutely.
See it every day in your consistency.
Thank you.
In your, your face is even lighting up right now. Like, for real, you.
And I be asleep right now, y'all. But
I know, and I'm so thankful to her for being up, inviting me in her home. We are gonna, wrap it up for sure. This is not the last time that you will be on, the Social You Digital platform, or even Mommy Mondays.
This is great. This was fun. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for allowing so many, through your coaching program, and even in this space, for allowing me to take the armor off, and in our private conversations as well. And I want this to be a continuation of this connection. And
but we have so much in common. Like, we're both into fitness, we both do this work, like, so it's
a lot, y'all.
It's only right that we keep it going, sis. It's only right.
It's only right. And I really, you'll see Carmen, what's the name of your podcast again?
Walk in Power. Walking in my power. Listen, power. I'm working. The t-shirts are going to be available soon, honey, but we got to stay walking in our power, baby. Walking in my power. So it's Walk in Power. Yes.
Walk in Power. And this is, the couch where she has her guests and where she does her recording. So I want to thank you for letting me come in your space. It's beautiful. It's lit. Literally and figuratively. And it's just been amazing. It's been amazing. I have an 8-year-old, you have a 25-year-old
and a 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm. So you've been through it. You've been through it, and now you have a second chance, a second, experience now that.
And I got 2 grandbabies.
Woo! So how's that been?
Woo, girl.
Okay.
They're my mother's grandkids.
Okay.
Listen, just like my sons be like, we want our mama. That's what they call them. My grandkids be like, where's mama? Listen, I'm living.
Yes.
I feel no shame about it. I spent my whole life taking care. Right. I'm out here. Listen, I'm a FaceTime grandma.
Yeah.
Don't bring them kids over here. Don't drop them over here. Let me see them on face. I love you. Love you. Bye-bye. You know what I'm saying? I'm living my life. My best life, sis. Living my best life.
And I love that. And I loved even before you came to realize things about your journey and unlearn things. I'm glad that you had a mother in your life that really reinforced hey, even though, you have a kid, you're still young. Yes. You still need to experience. You still need to live life.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so important for you to have, because it was already so much weight.
Yes.
But we I feel like it doesn't even matter, being a young mother puts more pressure, but just becoming a mother in general, it's just oh, well, I got a kid now, so I need to, and it's just no, you need to be yourself. You need to be the woman that you were.
That's it.
And that your children are going to know you to be, and experience you to be. So don't.
Because not being that, you take away from your children. I've heard so many people say, I had to give up my dreams because I had kids. That's the worst thing you could tell your kids is my life is miserable because of you. That's basically what
you're saying. You came along and so everything just
stopped.
Went out the window.
Right. And honestly, that's a scapegoat. You're using that was your excuse to not do hard things. That was your excuse to not do hard things. To not have your kid and say, I'm just gonna give up on dreams and goals because I have a kid. That's just an excuse to not do hard things, to not choose yourself, to not realize that you are worth hard things. Even when things get harder, you're still worth hard things. Yes. Don't use your kids as an excuse to sit still. Look, you see this?
Right.
We up late at night.
It was a little late. I mean, I had to give Avery dinner and all that stuff, but I made it. Like, you have to have your mind made up.
Period.
That parenthood is not going to be
not the end
all be all. And because your kids, one of my mentors, Ronnie Brown, actually, she says your kids can't be your why and your why not.
Absolutely.
Like they can't. You can't be like, oh, that's my why. This is why I do this.
Oh my God!
But then be like, I can't do this or I can't. No. I made that very, very clear. Like when Avery was little, I was just like, there's still things that I want to accomplish. Yep. There's still things I want to do. Like, yes, I'm gonna be showing up places with a camera and my light, and he's just gonna be coming with me. And I made it was hard.
But you did.
But hey, a lot of things were birthed out of the hard things. Like, he's very much a part of the brand, the social digital brand.
Absolutely. Because of Mommy Mondays.
Exactly.
Right. Come on.
Exactly.
Right. And so I think it's so important, like you said, when you think about what is your why? It can't be your kids. Guess what? These kids gonna grow up and go live their life.
Yeah.
And when those kids are gone, living their best life, then what? Right? Yeah. Your kids cannot be your why. Your inner guide, your inner passions, your inner purpose. That has to be your why. It has to come from within, so that then it pours onto your children.
Exactly.
Your children see you happy. Like my son, he tells people, "Oh, my mom, she has a business name. He'll Google her."
Yeah.
I'm like, would you stop telling people to Google me? What is wrong? But he loves it.
Isn't it so funny? Like you can really see the pride because sometimes you're just doing your things and you're doing it in front of them, but. Like Avery, he was just like, I told my friends in class that you're your own boss.
Yep.
You're your own boss. And they were like, oh, your mom must be rich. And I was just like, wow.
But they're so proud.
Really, taking this in, know, and I didn't, sometimes I didn't even know he realized all the things about the business and what I do. He was like, did you film today? Like he saw my lighting. He was like, did you film today? And I was just like, yeah, I did.
Girl, they are watching. My son sits on YouTube's and watch all my shorts. And he'll say, you see this one? How many hits this one got? This one didn't get that many hits. You need to do this better. And he goes, you need to make these videos longer. I'll be like, all right.
There you go.
But I love, but that's our kids.
Right.
Like they're really watching us and oh, you don't believe that my mommy YouTube.
Let me show you. Yeah.
Because they're proud. But that level of proudness that they feel for us, they're gonna now want to feel that for themselves.
Yes.
And now they can do things that make them feel proud and be like, Mommy, you proud? I'm proud of you too. Yeah, I'm proud of you too, Mom. I know I'm proud of you. No, I'm proud of you, Mom. Right? That's what you want. You want your kids to see you doing it.
Right.
Even though it's hard.
Right. And teaching them that they themselves can do hard things.
And are worth hard things. They are worth hard things.
And you are worth hard things.
Yes, and so are you,
always.
Queen. Yes,
always.
This was dope.
Thank you. It was so good. Thank you for inviting me into this warm, beautiful space. Yes.
I can't wait till we do it again.
This
is great. This is so perfect.
It is. Everything was perfect.
Like, wow, this is so perfect. Look at this. Yeah, I gotta give me one of these things. We gotta toast before we wrap up.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining Mommy Mondays with Carmen B. Heal with Carmen B. It's been amazing. We will catch you next time on Mommy Mondays with my special guest, and we're out.
Peace.
Have a good night, y'all.